What it is, episode 60 of the Graham Avenue podcast, Susie Avenue's unofficial podcast. Pompano here with Cages and Sean, and we have another special guest, Marcus J. Mackay. Say hello to the fans.
It's Marcus Dr. Mackay.
Marcus Dr.
I noticed the Joshua James Mackay in the footnotes, and I might have to correct that one too. But I kind of like it.
We'll get to it right off the hop, though. What do you think about J Mac's beard?
I think I have a bit of a different opinion. I assumed neither of us would be able to grow a beard until we were past 30. So yeah. I think it's a victory for the boys, honestly. Like, it's a big fat beard too. Like, that thing's gross. Like, it's super gross.
It's a thick daddy.
Yeah.
I grew up on Josh Mackay. Yeah. Josh Mackay was, for those that don't know, my grandma and stuff. Josh is in 93, so we were together in school, and Josh, this is no offense, but Josh kind of looked like an Ewok in grade 12, and now he looks like Channing Tatum. So
I know. That's kind of why I think I'm proud of the beard, because we've both famously been baby faces, and obviously him with the height in high school too. Yeah. I think it's a big victory, honestly. Yeah. Like, I'm seeing that beard and I'm like, hey man, it doesn't matter what's in there. Like, you got birds living in there or whatever, but it looks great. Especially when he does the Snapchat angle, like right under his neck.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh, love that.
The thing with Josh too is, like, he gives me hope that maybe at like 30 I'll glow up like Josh. Like, he did it in his 20s. Maybe I'll do it in my 30s and I'll gain like maybe a foot.
It's crazy. It's crazy kind of being how he was such a late bloomer, because I kind of was too, but I just grew more progressively throughout school than he did. And then it kind of all hit him like that first year of university, kind of like I don't know, it must have been 6 or 7 inches, like, in a year.
I know.
It was kind of crazy. And I did the exact same thing my first year at uni. I grew from 6'1" to 6'4".
Must be a nice feeling, playing basketball.
Yeah, it was
growing.
Oh, it was perfect, man, because I randomly started dunking in workouts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't dunk. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And we measured, and my trainer was like, bro, you are 3 inches taller. Like, I don't know how this happened. And all of a sudden, your head coach's eyes light up, and he's like,
"Oh, this guy's not
prospect." Prospect.
It's going from riding the pine to starting.
That's a funny thing about basketball, because like in hockey, it's important. Like, size is obviously important, and when you grow is obviously really important. But basketball must be. Do guys just get rattled when they're like 16 and they're just not getting any taller?
Yes and no. Like, it would beat up some guys, and I think along the lines, like Josh's case, it was like a completely different realm to being small. It was being really, really small, like, unfortunately small. And for a lot of guys, it's kind of like, well, Josh, I think, has always kind of had like the build to say if he would grow, he would have a nice basketball build, and he does now, obviously. But most guys are usually like, say you're in grade 10 and you have a guy that's like 5'5" and 120. Those are the guys you more see who are like, I'm not cut out for this, man. Like, Josh was completely cut out for it. His height just completely betrayed him.
Yeah.
He had the body type. He got lit down by some weird family genes we have. I don't know what's going on. But
luckily he got beautiful skin though, which is a huge plus. His skin is
tan all year round. But I mean, we could talk all day about Josh and how sexy he's become. But let's talk about you, Marcus. So for those who don't know, Marcus played 5 years at Canada's second best small university, UNBC in Prince George, on the basketball team.
It.
Yeah.
How did you end up there? Did you were you scouted by universities, or did you say like, I want to go to Canada's second best small university?
Actually, what happened, to be honest with you, I wasn't bad in school, but I didn't have a huge passion for academics. Really? So it was kind of like, wherever I was going to go, I wanted to play basketball. And out of high school, I'll be honest, I didn't have a scholarship offer. I didn't have a single look, really. But a lot of the times when you're from Terrace, you're from like, no one's going to be looking at you.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to be looking at you no matter where you are. If say you're at provincials, you're in Prince George, you're in a bit of a bigger hub, and say there might be some university coaches there or someone who could reference you to a university coach. No one's referencing you from Terrace. Doesn't matter what you do, right? So after grade 12, I was kind of like, oh, I got some work to do. I gotta send out, get some feelers for interest. And so there was an ID camp that UNBC had actually invited me to. So basically what it is, it was like 30 kids, about all around 18, all hoping to get a spot on the team. Usually teams only host them if they actually have like kind of open roster spots that aren't being filled by other players coming in. So, and that was the case. They had basically 2 open roster spots, and went to ID camp, had a really good camp. And basically Todd Jordan, our head coach, took me into his office and he said, hey man, if you're planning on coming to school this next year at UNBC regardless, I'll redshirt you. Basically what a redshirt year is you'd be an alternate almost. So you'd be playing in practices and everything, not going on trips, but basically a practice year. And a lot of guys have used that year to get a lot better, and it's a positive thing. And I was open to that, right? And I did a couple more ID camps. I did one in Alberta, which I was like sick as a dog for, and it went super shitty. And I was kind of like, crap, blew that.
Yeah.
And then my dad is really good friends with TRU head coach Scott Clark, and so I had that option because he heard that UNBC was kind of like, hey, redshirt spot if you want it. He's like, I don't believe in redshirting people. I'll get you on the team.
Oh,
and I'm kind of like, okay. And Scott Clark is a famous hard ass. And at the time, I'm 18. I'm a little 6'1", 203-pound doughboy.
Yeah,
like,
little 6'1".
My dad kind of looked at me and he's like, he's a good chance of murdering you. Like, he's like, I believe you can take it, but do you believe you can take it? And I was like, no fucking way. So I decided to call up Todd, and I'm like, I'll take you up on that offer. And as soon as I got to training camp in August, he was like, hey man, like we had a couple of things happen this summer. We have 2 players who, kind of a month ago told me they weren't coming back. You're going to roster for us. And that was literally it. I just kind of worked my way onto that team. So technically, I would be called a walk-on in those senses.
Redshirt. You were just
didn't redshirt. So didn't redshirt. Played right away. So it was. I fell into it a little bit in that sense, but I also we worked really hard. Me and my teammate Regan, who actually came with me for that first year, worked really hard together that summer to kind of, hopefully get a roster spot if it was open. And that's basically what happened for both of us. So it was a super positive experience in the end, but definitely when you hit the end of grade 12 and you see that it's like, okay, nothing's on the table for me.
Totally.
A lot of kids stop there, and that's unfortunate because I believe that that's a point to start at a lot of the times, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, I'm not good enough to get this look. I can work hard throughout this summer, kind of push myself into it and see what I can get out of it. The journey doesn't really end there. So I think a lot of kids, after they, graduate and see that there's nothing out there for them, it's like there is, you just have to look for it a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's not going to come easy. I mean, there's so many like fringe people. Are you going to work harder? Are you going to get a growth spurt?
Yeah, exactly. Like you never know.
But yeah, exactly.
Like, you might be a prospect next season. Everyone's like, where'd the 6'4" kid come from? Like,
exactly.
It's not the same guy, right? So yeah, I think a lot of kids are discouraged by that, especially from our area up north, because obviously like no one's giving you looks up here no matter what. And people they're like, if I don't have an offer, like that just means I'm not good enough. I'm like, no, you got to work for it. Coaches aren't willing to work for you if you live far away.
Yeah.
As much as that's sad, but you really gotta work for it. You gotta earn it. So
would you ever throw together like a sick and one mixtape, like a video of you hitting threes, dunking? Like, would that be sick?
I have a high school highlight tape on YouTube, but I never put it out when I was in high school, believe it or not. I didn't want to. I'm like, it's embarrassing. This is stupid. And then I think 3 years later when I was already on the team, I'm like, I still have this thing. I should put it out. And I put it out. And my friends think it's hilarious. Like, it's so funny. Me and Pat Kirk both have one on YouTube. And it's it was a meme for the longest time. Like, anytime we made a Facebook post or a tweet, someone would just put the highlight video in replies. And everyone just thought it was hilarious. So
dude, that's how I try to get chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work if they see like a prepubescent 17-year-old just hoisting 40 footers. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Oh
yeah.
my God, that's amazing. So when you first got to UNBC, like, what was it like? Like, is it mostly guys from PG, or like, was it like a mix of people? Like, did you have to really prove yourself, or did you come in and were just like good at the start? Like, how did it go in your first season?
Man, honestly, in my first season, I walked in and it was UNBC's second season in Canada West.
Oh, okay.
Not being a college, they were a college team 2 years before in the CCAA. So that's a big step up, right? And the year before I came in, they had a really, like, on paper, a really good team that had kind of underachieved a little bit in the Canada West season. And so when I came in, we have guys from all over. My first experience was with my 6'7" Cameroonian teammate Franco,
Shout out to
who has
Franco.
the craziest. Yeah, shout out to Franco, man, great guy. Craziest accent. So you can imagine how afraid I am when this guy comes up to me and he looks at me and he says, "How are you doing?" Except it's like a combination French, like his first language, French, and then he played professional basketball for the previous 3 years in Britain.
Wow.
Really?
And so he has this like British French kind of Cameroonian accent that's like so thick, and I froze, and I'm like, who is this guy? Is he on our team? Like, yeah. So it was definitely a culture shock at the beginning because we had, I had a teammate from Seattle. We had some local Prince
That's
George
super
guys.
cool.
Obviously, you always have a couple, which is great. I think that's great for the town. But Franco, I had a teammate from Washington, Jabril. I've had teammates from Toronto. I don't know about that year, but yeah, I think as a Canada West team, you get guys, a lot more international guys and a lot more people from all over, just because it's just a bigger talent hub, and people are willing to travel more to play CIS basketball or U Sports basketball versus Pac West. But I think
Sorry, Scott's been freaking cracking his ankle. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh really?
God damn it.
My one
Anyways,
ankle's like a
sorry.
cement mixer.
Sorry, I'm like
No
losing
shit.
my mind here.
No,
I'm, like,
dude, both my
cringing.
ankles do that.
I
My
can't.
parents hate it. Like,
Oh,
I'll
I
walk
hate
up the
cracking.
stairs when
Oh, yeah.
they're in bed. They're in bed at like 9, and I'll walk up the stairs
Classic.
to go to bed myself at like 10, and my ankles crack, both of them, all the way up the stairs. It's like,
Yeah, my
and
right
you
one's
can hear my dad from his room. He'll just be like, "Shut up!" Like, and
classic Cam.
I'm really sorry to cut you off, but that was like driving
no,
me
that's
up the wall.
like, I can understand how that might be annoying for some people.
Yeah.
Man,
Anyways, continue. Sorry.
No, so my first year, honestly, like, you go in with zero expectations, and I was so happy just to be on the team
Yeah.
that I had zero expectations. Like, I'm like, I made it. Like, this is what I said I wanted to do in grade 10. I wrote down in a journal that I had to hand to one of my camp instructors. He made you write your dream down and hand it to him, and be like, it's got to be realistic. Like, it's got to be like something you want to do. And so I handed it to him, and he was like, I want to play CIS basketball. And that was probably the most realistic goal I'd ever had before then, because I mean, before that I was like 15, 14, and you still think you're going to be in the NBA. Like, you're
Yeah.
Oh
done.
yeah.
So
Oh, me and mini ball in grade 6. Like, oh, I'm going there.
exactly. You want to live the dream.
Yeah.
So I was just happy to be there. And then, we start practicing, and our first scrimmage I had a really good scrimmage. I just got hot. I just started hitting from outside, and I started having really good practices. I was solid because I've always been at that point, I kind of discovered I could be a role player in my first year and be a good role player for us, because I could shoot and I could always create space on the floor. So after about 2 weeks of practice, my head coach, Todd, came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, so I know, like, coming into this year, you were expecting a red shirt, and all of a sudden, like, you're on the roster, and now he's like, I think I'm going to give you 5 to 8 minutes a game."
Nice.
Just because he's like, we don't really have a lot of guys who can shoot it, and we need to have that threat from the outside at least to spread the floor.
So you're like a
So I
Danny
was like,
Green?
yes,
Love it.
I'm very similar to Danny Green. Very
Just
similar.
chucking bricks sometimes, but then other
Yes,
times.
very.
hot.
We'll probably get into that later. But he told me I was going to play a bunch of minutes in my first year. Well, a bunch of minutes for a first year at least.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was kind of like, oh wow, like this is insane. And but like I kept having good practices and consistently get better, and our older guys on the team were impressed and supportive of me. And like that was probably the most special point of my first year, was realizing like you have the trust of your 23-year-old, 22-year-old, some even older, 25. I've played with 28-year-olds. You have their respect, right? And that's big for an 18-year-old, right? And I mean, kudos to my teammates who are the best, some of the best people I'll ever meet. But they were super supportive of me, and it made it easier going into games that year, being a little less nervous, knowing that they have your back. And that being said, I was still crapping my pants every time I got on the floor.
Oh, it happens to me like on a usual basis, so it's not anything to be embarrassed. What was it like? What was it like though? Like you started crapping your pants, and like you're getting, but like what was it like the transition? Like by the time you're in your 5th year, now you're the guy who has to instill confidence on the young, like the scared 18-year-olds. Like what was the change like?
So it's obviously a lot different, going into like a game, playing 5 minutes, maybe hitting a 3, like a single one, and maybe not.
Which would be sweet.
The transition part of it is, I think my dad actually is the one who kind of puts it best. And he says, the work you put in is what you get out of it. Right?
Totally.
So everyone has a different path if you're playing 5 years of university basketball. If you put in the time, especially in like the off season. So what I did was I spent every summer in Prince George working with my teammates, my head coach, just because you get a better grasp of what they want out of you, especially your head coach, but even your teammates. You just build a little bit more chemistry with the guys who are around there as well. Plus you get to compete with high level CIS athletes.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that in Terrace as much, right? Like I could play, I could stay here, get into a bunch of gym time, but I'm not getting like real reps kind of scrimmage wise, I would say, or even one-on-one wise. So staying there was definitely a big part of why I was able to progress, I think, from my 1st to my 5th year. So you just set goals every year. And after the summer, after my 1st year, I realized immediately we're going to be a lot better the next year. We had loaded up on a couple of international guys. We were keeping some key guys, so we were going to be pretty good. And so even like right after my 1st year, I kind of had this culture shock where it's like, man, if you don't put in work, like you might not have a spot on this team.
Yeah, they could get a guy from wherever.
It's very possible, man. Or you'll just be replaced and you'll be in the same position on that bench every year. Like if you want to gain trust, you have to work with the right people to gain that trust. So that's kind of what it was. And even in my 2nd year, my head coach was like, I envision you doing the same thing, but like 10 times better. Like you're going to come off the bench. You're going to be one of our first guys. If everything goes according to plan, first guy off the bench, you're going to come in, you're going to shoot that rock. I'm like, okay, deal. Sounds good. So I just got like a ton of reps up that summer, a ton of reps, just based out of our offense and based out of things I knew I'd be getting looks during games, just a ton of reps. And then, we have a really good year that year. Next year, moving on, there's like a starting spot that opens up, right? I'm like, okay, I want that starting spot. Let's work towards that this summer. So then you kind of build your game. And when I got to university, I could only just shoot the basketball. Yeah. Basically. On a CIS level, all I was useful for was shooting the basketball. I was a pylon on defense. If I dribbled the ball once, it was going off my foot and out of bounds. Like I could only shoot that basketball. So building to be a serviceable player as a starter, I think was that goal for that 3rd year. And then you move past that year, and then, you start getting to a point where it's like, all right, the more work you put in, the more the team's going to look for you. And that's what my 4th and 5th year was. As far as kind of leadership goes, I think I was blessed to have the leaders I had my 1st and 2nd year.
Who were some guys that helped you, really helped you kind of find your game?
Man, Dan Stark. Who
that guy's a absolute fucking wagon.
Oh, Dan Stark is the wagon, bro.
I remember one game,
he
was just kind of pissed off, and he just he laid like a kind of moving pick on a guy, and it was like a straight up body check. The guy just hit the fucking ground so hard. Everyone just started going nuts. Kyle's never been to a UNBC game.
Yeah. So I was studying. Yeah, I was getting a 4.0 GPA, motherfuckers.
I was busy going to school, man.
Yeah, man.
Too,
Hey, dude, when you're an accountant, you got to study really fucking hard.
Yeah.
yeah, you can't have any fun when you're an
No,
accountant. That's
I actually
why you
had
go
nothing
into
to
human
do.
resources like me.
I discovered Breaking Bad. So
Yeah, it fucked up the year.
sorry,
for me,
guys.
too. Oh, sorry. Who else was a leader for you?
I'd say Dan was consummate for me because I had him in my first year and my fifth year,
Nice.
which I don't know is which is a weird thing because
was this
basically
guy
what Dan had
or something, or
so Dan actually he redshirted his first year with the team back in I think 2008.
Jesus.
Yes. So 2008, and he does that redshirt year and then he plays 4 years and he finishes his degree. And he's like, I think I'm done. Like, I'm burnt out. Like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Years later, I go through all my years. My fifth year comes. We have a guy from the Ukraine named Vova, incredible player, ends up living with Dan in Prince George. So he had a redshirt year as well. So this is the year before. And over that year, he slowly starts to talk Dan into coming back for us. Because Dan's a really special player. Like, he isn't a guy who's going to score a ton of points. He isn't a guy who's going to like take over a game, but he's going to go out there. He's going to defend his ass off. He rebounds.
Is it like a Serge Ibaka or something?
But he's an incredible passer, which is the thing.
Nice.
So you can like almost run an offense through him. I would say he's very Jokic-like. If you know Nikola Jokic on the Denver Nuggets. He's very Jokic-like. Jokic has a bit better of an offensive game, but Dan, like, he can facilitate an offense. And we needed a guy like that coming off the bench. So Vova slowly convinces him to come back and fill out that last year. Take a bunch of bum classes and fill out that last year.
He just paid to – or did he get a full – like, to get a ride to do it?
I believe there was some scholarship money attached to it. I don't know about full. But, yeah, he came back. It was a huge help. But I think my first year – my memories from practice are all of him screaming at me, like, just screaming at me. Don't get beat baseline. Like, that's lazy defense, all that stuff. And then when you transition into my fifth year, it's like I'm having a discussion with him about what we're going to do with the team, how we're going to operate it. And it was totally different. And it was really cool for me to be like, okay, I'm running this team how you taught me how to run it. Yeah, I'm running this team how you would run our team in my first year. So I took it. So we clicked like that, and it's kind of why we continue to play together in men's league tournaments and stuff like that. We just kind of get each other on and off the court.
That's super cool.
So Dan's number one for sure, but like guys like Jeff Chu, Devin McMurtry, Billy Chang.
Shout out to Billy.
Love Billy.
Yeah, those guys were also just consummate leaders, and the reason I love them so much is because they weren't all basketball all the time. They were life lessons, and they kind of taught me how to be like, you know, an adult almost. Like they kind of raised me as an 18-year-old and, you know, taught me responsibility. As silly as that sounds, but like honestly, like, you know,
you're an adult when you go to university, but you're still a kid.
No.
Even when you're 20, 21, you're still an idiot. Like
18, 19, you are a child, a complete child.
Yeah.
I was a complete child. But those guys would pick me up for like trail runs and stuff like that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you're late, like they would be on your head about it. Like, he's like, hey man, don't be late for my ride. Like, I'm taking this out of my day to get you. I'm trying to teach you something about responsibility. literal words out of Jeff Chu's mouth when I was late one time. So it's that kind of stuff that I really hold dear to my heart, I think. So they really raised me to be the leader I was in my fourth and fifth year, I think.
That's awesome.
Unreal.
I got a question. So obviously, like, your dad was like a massive part of like your basketball skills and like your career until you went to UNBC. But obviously then you switched into having like a coach from UNBC, and your dad wasn't your coach anymore.
Yeah.
You must have still leaned on your dad a lot throughout your career, right? Like, or at UNBC?
Yes and no.
Was he more hands off, or if I was your dad, I'd be hands on?
Beyond pause. It's kind of funny because he's always let me be myself as a player. which is weird for a
That's
lot
cool.
of people because, you know, if you look, anybody who has, there's only a set amount of people who have like played basketball with Cam and played basketball with me, but there's a couple, especially here in Terrace, and some of them I played men's league with, and I don't play anything like my dad. I don't.
Really?
He's always let me be myself. And it's kind of because he coached me for only 2 years. I had Joe Dominguez for another 2 years too, and I had him in an 8th grade summer games team as well. So if I play like anybody, I play like Joe Dominguez, and I've been told that a couple times.
Nice.
But as far as advice goes, he believed in me from the start, immediately. Like as soon as he knew my aspirations to play CIS and play at UNBC, he was like, "Oh, you can do that, no problem." And he was super hands off, honestly, with a lot of things. Because I'd text him occasionally and be like, "Man, like I'm in a slump, like and nothing's going in, like I'm really struggling." And he's like, "You're silly, like you're doing great, like you're being stupid, like honestly, like if you really need advice," he's like, "You know what I tell you, like shoot with arc, shoot with confidence, get it up there, like look for your shot, man, like don't be afraid of the moment." Like he's like, "I shouldn't have to tell you this though, like I know you're good, why don't you know you're good?" And it was more stuff like that where he wanted me to kind of carve my own path. And I think it's because he knew I'm a little bit different from Josh on the court as well, and just kind of in life. So I think he's always been, you know, let him do him. He's figuring it out. So
I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, there was that. But like, you know, I always text him how games went and everything like that, and we talk about it. But like nothing like he didn't ever want to pepper me with advice. Like
That's surprising.
I think it's just because he doesn't want to push me in a direction that I don't want to go in.
Yeah.
And so, and both my parents have always been like, "Hey man, like if you don't want to play basketball post-secondary, like you don't have to. Like that's not." My parents told me like immediately after I graduated, they're like, "If you want to stay here and go to school for a year in Terrace, like do it, man. Like do it." And so they've always kind of supported what I've wanted to do. And both of them were definitely, especially my dad, he was more hands off than I think people think. I always
thought he was like a micromanager, but I just always thought he'd be really involved in what you're doing and kind of like
he was involved in the aspect, like,
obviously involved, but
it was, he wasn't overly involved, and I think he was always
that's the right approach. I think
he was always afraid of that, and he didn't want to have a bias towards me, and he always wanted to kind of just have me on a path, but let me take that path by myself.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
And I really value that, honestly.
Well, it sucks when you're like growing up and your parents like if your parents are farmers and like, well, you're going to be a farmer too. If your dad's like, I played CIS basketball, you're playing CIS basketball no matter what happens.
Yeah.
It's like, that's because at the end of the day, like, and I'm saying this as I wasn't a student athlete. Like I would have fucking loved to be a student athlete.
Dude,
not good enough at anything.
I would have loved it.
Not good enough at anything, but
yeah.
Like, but at the end of the day, like if you weren't happy doing it, what's the point?
Exactly. And I think that was the only important part for him.
Yeah.
And there was times where it was kind of like, I think he might have been, the only times he may have checked up on me was when that was up in the air. Are you having fun? Like this is like what you wanted. This is your dream. Like I want to make sure you're getting the most out of it. Right. Yeah. So I think that might have been the only things he was really maybe nosy about, I guess, but
yeah. But what like over those 5 years, what would you say was the highlight for you? Was it like passing an HR test with an A+, dropping a 3 and hearing Justin Rogers scream your name? I don't know if he announced when you were there.
Yes, he did. My first year, my first and second maybe.
Yeah.
And then he moved, which is unfortunate because he was extremely good. And then my 5th year, we got a kid who was actually going to school at Dutchess Park. Yeah. Who was incredible, but Justin's the homie. He's the GOAT, man. I'll never forget Justin Rogers screaming out your name after you hit a 3.
He's the loudest guy ever.
There's nothing better.
He come in the room, hey guys, what's going on? We're like, dude, Justin, chill out, man. It's just like he puts his indoor voice on and he's still screaming. Great guy. He actually loves the pod, I think.
Yeah,
he's got a megaphone on him. I don't know if he can turn it off. It's good though. It's right for him announcing games at least. But then that's definitely an underrated part. Nothing to do with school academically, I would say. It's tough. I have a lot of memorable moments just because of the community at UNBC and kind of the tight-knit school we actually had.
Mhm.
But I think if I had to put my finger on it, it had to be our playoff win my first year. We won a playoff, my fifth year, sorry. We won our school's first ever playoff series in anything.
Wow.
And that's history, right? And like, you can't really deny that, and no one can take that away from the 15 of us that were on that team, right? No one can take that away from us. And it was an incredibly close and special game with Winnipeg, in Winnipeg. And I'll never forget it, honestly. And for a guy who didn't even play that well in that game, there was nothing better than being up 3 with like 2 seconds left. And you're like, holy shit, like we're about to do this. And no one thought we were going to do it. If you, there's like Canada hoops reference forums, like on Reddit, that go through predictions of playoffs. And me and my roommate scrolled down through all of them, and they all said Winnipeg. And we're like, oh. So that felt good too. But I think just realizing what we had done, and the guys who are family to me and had, like, you know, all put their efforts into that, it was incredibly special. And nothing, like, you couldn't ask for anything more in your last year of playing, right? So that's definitely up there for me.
That's awesome. I want to get into some like basketball talk, because like I liked it. Basketball for me is kind of like skateboarding. Like I like the idea of it, but I'm not really able to do it. So
right.
One thing I've been wondering is, like, you're known for your 3-pointers, but like I've just been noticing I didn't really watch a lot of basketball until the Raptors went on their run. I'm a fair weather fan.
That's fine. That's good.
3-pointers, like, when did in the NBA or when in basketball did that kind of switch where like your 3-point percentage was huge? Was it always been that way, or is it now way more emphasized?
No, not necessarily. So there's always been, once the 3-point line got invented, there's always been role players who were 3-point shooters, but there was never any volume 3-point shooters, like a guy who would put up a bunch. It would be guys who could spot up and like they would hit like 1 to 2 a game, like your Steve Kerrs in The Last Dance and stuff like that, right?
Love it.
So what really was the changing point is I want to shout out Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers. From what I believe, he's kind of the first volume 3-point shooter there was. And he kind of opened the door for guys like, you know, immediately after a guy like Ray Allen comes in and starts shattering all his records too. And you're like, oh, okay. And then people start to investigate, like, how efficient is this play? Like, is this the right way they should be playing? And then they discover something called effective field goal percentage, which beforehand, field goal percentage just is based on your 2-point field goals.
What's a field goal? I never know.
A basket made. So say you're 1 of 2 from the field. That means you've taken 2 shots and you've hit 1. And
so is it a layup? Is a layup a field goal or no?
Yes. Anything's a field goal. Any made basket is a field goal.
Why don't we just call it a basket? Makes it
you can call it a basket.
Okay.
But field goal percentage is the amount of makes you have out of attempts. Right?
Okay.
So say you're 5 of 10, you're shooting 50%.
It's your shooting percentage.
Yeah, your shooting percentage. So effective field goal percentage weights the 3-pointer as it's actually worth. So it's like a mathematical formula for advanced stats that comes up with the 3-pointer is weighted 1.5 times a 2, right? Because that's math. That's simple.
I'm a math guy. I went to school for this.
What you think people should know that, like even in the 80s, right? But no one's doing any research. So
everyone's just doing coke.
Yeah, exactly. Less coke, more research. God damn it. So that comes into effect, and then people see effective field goal percentage. It's like, oh, so you're saying if a person's shooting like 40% from a 3, their true shooting percentage is actually like 55% from the field.
Yeah.
It's like, because 3s are worth more than 2.
Yeah.
So
math.
That whole idea of 3s being worth more than 2 in like an efficiency standpoint took a while to get going for a lot of people. Even after Reggie Miller had just torn up the league, hitting volume amount of 3s. People are skeptical, and that's where the mathematical formula comes in.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't need a mathematical formula to know that, okay, if I'm like, I go 2 of 4 inside the arc, I have 4 points, right? I go 2 of 4 from outside the arc, I have 6 points. There's some math there. It's a harder shot, yes, but if you specialize in that area, the efficiency keeps increasing.
Yeah.
So it was basically advanced stats that made it come up with. But like since that point, like Reggie Miller and Ray Allen, we see Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson just blowing the doors off all this stuff. And you look at like Stephen Curry and like the effective field goal percentage numbers that guy has.
It's ridiculous.
Insane. He's doing insane things, right? So I think if there was anyone who started the conversation about R3s as valuable as we think they are, it would have to be Reggie Miller. I would have to give it to Reggie Miller.
That was my answer too. Since when is blowing the door up in an expression? Have I been like
that's a
blowing the doors off? Really?
Is that normal?
You know, so like in like an action movie, like you breach a door, like in an action movie per se, blow the doors off the place, go in there, start firing at people.
You kick the door in, you don't blow it.
The thing with Marcus is like,
if you played Call of Duty, man, you breach the door.
No, I'm no good at shooters, man.
Marcus has great vocabulary.
I was Tony Hawk. I grew up on Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm gonna ask another question, Pimpy.
I'm gonna ask you a question first.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
It's got to be blue.
I don't want an explanation. I just want to know.
Green.
All right.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so I watched The Last Dance, Marcus. Anyone who's anybody has watched this.
I grew up on The Last Dance.
Yeah. So
we all did.
I thought it was really good. And one thing I do, and I love documentaries, and I always look for bias, and a lot of times I'll look at who produced it. MJ, his production company, I guess, like produced the doc. It was the MJ doc. Like there was a lot of other stuff, but let's be honest, if you're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls, you're talking about MJ.
Naturally.
What are your thoughts on the documentary, and do you feel like some of the criticisms are valid, or what do you think about it?
I think there would have been criticisms no matter what they put out, man.
Exactly.
I think there would have been criticisms no matter what. I really liked it, but for different reasons, because I've seen a lot of Michael Jordan stuff, man. I've seen a lot of Michael Jordan stuff. Cam's a big Michael Jordan guy. When we were kids, we were renting Space Jam, Michael Jordan's Secret Playground, every weekend watching that. Like Michael Jordan's Secret Playground, I feel like I could recite.
I never heard about that.
It's insane. It's literally just like a highlight package kind of deal with this weird kind of story with this kid and Michael Jordan at this secret playground. And that's literally what it is.
Sounds kind of creepy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it kind of is. Thinking about it now, it's kind of weird. But...
It was the 90s, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I had done, and I gave a speech on Michael Jordan in 5th grade, I think, at like public speaking. Yeah. We had to public speak.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, you remember doing public? I was actually pretty good at it, but I hated it. Like I got 2 firsts, I think, in grade 6 and 7. And they were all speeches on basketball, just different aspects.
Did you go to the gala? I went to the gala for speech arts.
I placed in grade 6 and 7. Grade 6.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple of champions over here then. Hell yeah.
Man.
Made a speech about how much of an idiot I am, and it actually got me like top 3 in the class. So
love it.
That's saying something. Hey, Scott.
It really is.
So I really enjoyed it, but I thought it was really well done because you have the chapters that, one spears off and focuses on Dennis Rodman. One spears off and focuses on Steve Kerr. You have another one in there that's on Scotty, right? Naturally, obviously. But I felt like they diversified enough outside the norm for Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That made it super entertaining. I wanted to know more about those other Bulls. And it was. It was about the organization top down rather than it was like specifically about Michael Jordan. Of course, it's always going to be about Mike.
Yeah.
It's always going to be centered around him.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they did a great job in balancing that and telling a story and just putting out like a product that wasn't the same thing as I've seen from other Michael Jordan pieces. It was different. It was fresh. I really enjoyed it, man. And as far as like, people firing back about it, about, truths and stuff like that, I think that's part of it, man.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have their own debate on what happened when Michael Jordan ordered that Pizza Hut pizza in Utah. Everyone's going to have their own opinion.
Oh, like exactly.
I mean, I just actually
tell Scott about the pizza.
I haven't watched.
Okay, you haven't watched, hey?
No.
I'm
He's not
actually
gonna watch
gonna.
it.
Oh, dude.
You need to
Well,
get into it.
I'm actually gonna. Unfortunately, I'm gonna plug something I just put up on the blog.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I just went into the pizza debate a little bit, and so I firmly believe. I didn't know he ordered from Pizza Hut when this happened. I've always heard the story. I didn't know
It was
this
Domino's,
guy.
I'd believe it.
This guy ordered from Pizza Hut. Like, what was he thinking? He's getting a midnight pizza from Pizza Hut? This guy got food poisoning just because it's Pizza Hut. Like, no one poisoned this guy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No one poisoned him. He just ate shitty pizza. Like, there's no other answer. Like,
He was sweating
pizza.
so hard.
Oh.
I've never seen a guy
Bro.
sweat so hard.
yeah, he's sweating out molten cheese and hot seasoning. Like, this guy's there's no other explanation.
Yeah.
He got a shitty pizza. There's one guy at this Pizza Hut probably working last shift. It's
There's
a
no
late
way.
night. They said he ordered it late night. If anyone's ever worked in like a fast food service and you're on closing, someone orders a pizza at like 11:30 p.m. You're thinking,
Oh, yeah.
fuck this guy, man.
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly.
This guy. Fuck
Yeah.
this guy. So no TLC went into making that pizza.
No.
Yeah.
And like
No
shit's
TLC.
probably been
No.
sitting out on
He
the
just-
counter for hours.
Exactly. He just ate shitty pizza, man. He just ate a shitty pizza. He made a gamble, probably his worst gamble of all time, and ate that shitty pizza. That's on him, brother. That's on
It's
him.
like it's the same thing when when I'm coming back from the northern, I've been waiting for a cab for an hour. It's 3 a.m. now, 3:15, and I'm like, take me to McDonald's.
Yeah.
You're rolling the dice.
You're rolling the dice, man. You're either going to bed feeling full and
Yeah.
waking up feeling awful, or you're dry heaving the entire night and
Yeah.
not feeling
And
great at all.
And like that's where me and Michael Jordan, like we're pretty much the same guy in that.
Pretty
regard.
much the same, dude. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
Michael
only
Jordan.
that specific area of risking it for
Yeah.
cracking.
Sorry, on my second. You guys said 2, so
Oh,
yeah, no,
love
that's
that.
smart. I got a bomber, so
Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved the ending because they used a Pearl Jam song, and Michael Jordan was smoking like the biggest cigar I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Out to here.
bro,
Dude,
where does he get those? That
I don't
thing
know.
is massive. Like, he must have them specially made or something, or on order. Mike can do
yeah.
whatever he wants. So, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it because it wasn't something I felt like I had seen before. I think that's the most simplest way of putting it.
But you touched on your blog there, Marcus. First of all, what is your blog? And secondly, how did you get into blogging?
Yeah, this is cool.
I think I'll start with how I got into it. I don't really know actually, to be honest with you, one day, the school newspaper at UNBC, you can submit articles to that and pieces and whatnot. And pretty much any student can. So my girlfriend at the time was editing.
Nice.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Ex-girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Rip. And she was like, you should write something. And I don't even know why she said that, because I don't think I've ever written anything for her. I think she'd edited some of my papers and was like, oh, okay, he can write. Like, he's not trying, but he can write.
Yeah.
And she's like, you should write something. I'm like, okay, like I'll write something. And the first thing that came to my head was, my dad's always been such an advocate for multi-sport athletes and why you should play multiple sports growing up. And so I was like, that's a great topic. I'll do that. So did some research, like formatted an article, submitted it to the thing, blah, blah, and they published it. And they handed me like $30. I'm like, cool, man.
Oof.
So I'm like, it was near the end of the school year. So I'm like, okay, like at the start of the next school year, I'm going to write something else. And I did. And it was the first article that's on my blog. It's the athletes versus mental illness article, something that's like, I really hold true to my heart and super personal for me. Something I'm really proud of as well. I put like my heart and soul into that article. And that's part of the reason why I even started a blog, was because I'm like, am I really about to submit this to the UNBC newspaper? I'm like, I know if I submit it there, the people who are reading it are my friends.
Yeah.
Because they know I submitted something. Why not give them something that's just me submitting straight to a blog where they can read it even as easy? So I kind of just was like, okay, yeah, I could do this blog. And I posted it there, and I did another one on second round draft picks, kind of like around the same time. And I got like just a bunch of messages from my friends and colleagues and people I played with, and like, dude, like, I really like this. Like, you should keep going. And that's basically kind of how it started. I mean, I realized I really enjoyed it, and it definitely has filled kind of like a basketball void that I was lacking since not playing university anymore. It just keeps me into it. And to be honest with you, like, a lot of my time is spent reading like Ringer articles, watching highlight tapes, watching game film, like a bunch of that stuff. So I'm like, you might as well be someone who talks about it if you're watching that much, right? So
Exactly.
that's kind of how I did it. As far as like what the blog's about, initially I wanted to bring light to things that aren't being talked about enough. And so that's kind of where I started with the mental illness part of student athletes and pro athletes, and kind of the second round draft picks, because no sports media website covers the second round. It's kind of like in the NHL draft, if you were to cover like the 8th round, man, like
but
the second round
doesn't exist. So
sure.
Exactly, right?
But you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, my
close.
knowledge.
They used to have
NHL knowledge is a little lacking, but
it used to go to 9, 7.
Yeah. See, I wasn't completely wrong.
No,
man,
that's good.
But the second round gets no love. So I kind of started with that. And then I've kind of moved into things where I feel like it deserves to have a little bit more discussion, whether that's comedically or seriously. A lot of the stuff I'm writing now is kind of more lighthearted and personal to me, and just fun to read, hopefully. And I have fun writing it. So I think more or less I want to talk about things that people are ignoring in the sports world, especially in the basketball world. But also I want to keep it lighthearted and have like kind of daily NBA takes if the NBA season was still going and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of room to grow, but I've really been enjoying it, man. I've really been enjoying it.
That's sweet, man. And what's called the 3ball?
The 3ball. 3ball.net.
Okay.
Is the URL in case anybody listening wants to read it.
Check it out. My grandma will start reading it as soon as she listens to this pod. So getting into the playoffs then, when the playoffs come back, hopefully for the NBA, give us your lowdown on like who's the favorite, who's a sleeper.
Honestly, man, I'm going to immediately give the sleeper bid to the Raptors.
Yeah.
Immediately give the sleeper bid to the Raptors.
Season.
They are the sleeper team because people are going to discount them until they get into the playoffs.
They
Without Kawhi,
and they still discount them.
It doesn't matter what they do. This regular season has been incredible for them. People still won't talk about it. It's been incredible. It's better than their last season. Like, come on.
I know.
So the sleeper pick definitely goes to them, just because I think they've displayed some championship DNA this year with guys coming off their bench and being immediately enveloped into this great team system. And I think as far as like a 5 guys you're going to put out on the floor for a starting lineup, they're pretty solid. And then, the next 5 guys up, even more solid. So I feel like that makes them a sleeper because they might be the best team in the NBA right now. They don't have the best players, but they might be the best team. So team-wise, they're super talented, but they don't actually have like the all-star talent. Like, I love that. So sleeper-wise, I'd say I think they're a lock for Eastern Conference Finals at least.
That's awesome.
But then they meet a team like Milwaukee,
who's sick,
who is Giannis, and they've built around him a bit better this year than they did last year. And say if the Raptors still had Kawhi, it'd probably still be a toss-up. But even so, I think he's taken a bit of a step. Milwaukee's taken a bit of a step. They just decided to surround him even more with shooters so he can just collapse the defense and kick out. It's a really great idea. They have a good system. Chris Middleton's another guy on their team who's been incredible this year. So out of the East, Milwaukee's definitely a favorite. People thought Philadelphia was going to give, them a run for the money. They've been terrible. The Raptors are better than them. Boston's another team that's kind of on the edge there in the East as well. So they make it interesting, but I think they still have a hump to get over. They're still a little bit young. And then the Lakers and the Clippers in the West. I think
that's going to be an unreal conference finals.
Yes, that would be – it's going to be so good. So good. And it's tough, man. I feel I could not tell you who wins that conference finals. I think that's a 7-game series. I like LeBron's chances in 7 games, though, because he's
Yeah.
LeBron. So I think a lot of people are looking at Lakers-Bucks as the final, which is fair. And in the NBA, since it's 7-game series, like usually the right thing happens, I want to say.
Yeah.
So as much as the Raptors could upset in an Eastern Conference Finals, as much as
not
the
beating
Clippers
LeBron.
could beat the Lakers, like
Yeah.
there's parity, but there's not really.
Yeah.
I think LeBron's shown just some incredible stuff at the age he's at right now this year. I mean, averaging over 10 assists per game isn't something he's ever done, I don't believe, in a regular season. That's incredible. He's old. Like, he is legit old. So
Yeah.
I think Lakers Bucks is definitely the safe bet. But the fun way to look at it would be Raptors Clippers. Like, that's the series I want to see. Kawhi versus the Raptors.
Better.
Like,
Wouldn't that be
Kawhi versus the
sick?
Raptors. Like, who
Wouldn't that be
doesn't want
unreal?
that? I mean, plus that's better for Canada. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I'm all for what Canada wants, baby. Let's go.
Oh, exactly. Should we move into this?
Yeah, let's get into
We're gonna do a top 5 here.
we did this week we did top 5 athletes from any sport. This includes badminton, yo-yo, lawn bowling, regular bowling,
Hiking.
Damn.
hiking. Yes, your favorite
Hiking,
municipal
all-time
hikers.
hikers.
Yeah.
So this would be my favorite 5 athletes.
Yeah.
Okay.
5
I was
favorite
wondering if
athletes.
you were talking like greatest of all time, and I was thinking to myself,
No,
but,
your 5
favorites-
Just your favorites.
favorite's a little bit easier. First
wanna
of all,
go
I got to
first?
shout out my boy, JJ Redick. He's my all-time favorite basketball player.
Is your number 5? You got to do it in order, Marcus.
5. We're going 5
Yeah.
first.
5
Ooh,
first. You
I
want to
just
start?
moved.
You start.
Guy's never listened to the pod once.
I'm sorry.
He's listened to as many podcasts as Kyle's been to UNBC basketball games.
Yeah.
0.
Wow, man. Come on. Starting with 5, then I will go. Honestly, I'm gonna have to throw multiple basketball players in there.
Oh,
obviously,
that's
That's
fine,
totally
yeah.
fine.
We'll go 5. I'm starting with Fred VanVleet on the Raptors.
Love it. I love that
personally-
play.
I personally love how he was undrafted, has worked his way to his role. I think
Yeah.
I identify with that as someone who, worked his way into something as well in university basketball. And I think he's like the ultimate underdog in that aspect.
Mhm.
He's
Oh,
a short
yeah.
point guard, and he, say what
Great
you want.
grinder.
That guy did a number on Steph Curry in the finals last
Oh
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
An undrafted guard out of Wichita State, which is a mid-major program, like not a big program. And he did damage on arguably one of the best players in the NBA right now. Like, I love Fred VanVleet. Like, everything he stands for, it's great. Plus, he had that baby, and he got like 10 times better. And he keeps
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got
incredible,
dad power.
dude.
Yeah.
Dad strength.
Crazy dad power.
Beauty.
Number four. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna shout out Simone Biles. Gymnastics.
Oh, Simone Biles.
Um,
Yeah.
Simone Biles does not get enough credit for what she's
That
done.
chick can
Um,
just she can do.
She's
anything.
incredible. She's one of the best Olympic athletes, maybe the best of all time. It's her
She's
milk counts,
remarkable.
like I can't even remember. I think it's like, I don't know, but she's dominated gymnastics for the last both Olympics, I
Yeah.
think.
Inspired
And
pick.
I've heard stories about her, and I've read a little bit about her as well. And I was initially thinking about writing something on the blog about her, just because of how undiscovered her talent has been and how out of the public it is, right?
Mhm.
But she's one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen. One of the
Yeah.
greatest gymnasts for sure. So I have to shout out Simone Biles. I'm a big fan of her.
Love it.
Number 3, I'm going to go with Sabrina Ionescu from Oregon women's basketball.
Whoa.
She
I have
just
no idea
got
who she is.
okay.
No
Good.
clue.
I like this. So Sabrina Ionescu is like the best NCAA player of all time, in my opinion.
Really?
And she just finished her senior year at Oregon.
Yeah.
She got drafted first overall into the WNBA this year.
No way.
And she is per 40 minutes played, she averages a triple-double.
So she's
Nice.
gonna be better than Lisa Leslie, you think?
Lisa Leslie was like 6'5". Sabrina
Yeah.
is about 5'10", and she's a point guard. She's
Okay,
different.
so way different.
And it's kind of the reason I like her as well, is because as far as body type goes and athletic prowess, she's also at a disadvantage. She
Yeah.
honestly reminds me of kind of like her build kind of reminds me of Josh, kind of where he is right now.
Yeah.
She's got this kind of stockier build, but she's got incredible vision. She rebounds the ball incredibly well. She just knows how it comes off the rim, and it's kind of like Dennis Rodman-esque, since you just watched The Last Dance, Kyle.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Dennis Rodman-esque. That guy, he just knows where the ball's going to land, right? She knows where the ball is going to land. And then she can do pretty much anything offensively. Handles the ball, runs the offense, can shoot the long ball. She's incredible. And again, because there's such a little focus on the WNBA and women's NCAA, she's never going to get the credit she deserves.
For sure.
Especially for almost averaging a triple-double for your entire career. It's incredible. And she's top 10. She's got over 1,000 career assists, over 1,000 career rebounds, over 2,000 career points. And she's like top 10 in all those categories in NCAA. No one else is. Like this includes men. So I believe that I've really been drawn to her in the last couple of years because of what she's done in the basketball world.
Yep.
So she's at number 3. Number 2, I'm gonna Dwayne Wade.
Nice.
Dwayne Wade is one of my all-time favorite basketball players. This is more from me just being a kid. He was like I think he was the second jersey I ever owned.
That's sick.
My dad got me a Dwayne Wade jersey for Christmas one year, and I didn't take that thing off for like 5 years. I wore it to gym class until it didn't fit me anymore. Like, it was. I love Dwayne Wade. I love the way he plays, and it's different for me because he plays a bit different to a lot of the guys I'm drawn to. He's not a shooter. He's super athletic. He's a 2-guard, has a crazy handle, but super athletic. Watched him play in college as well, which is usually about why I like guys as well, is I've seen them play college basketball and then kind of follow their career through the NBA. So Dwayne Wade was one of those guys as well. But love Dwayne Wade. Love his tweets. He tweeted about 420 on 420. And
oh, hell yeah. He's my top 5 now.
He's great. It was really funny. It's kind of eye-opening when a guy like that, it's just like, oh, best day, man. Been waiting for 420 for years. It's like, what? What did he say? But
that's awesome.
Like, I've been waiting to indulge in 420. It's like, okay. Right. But yeah, and then number 1, like I mistakenly mentioned before because I don't watch the podcast. It's JJ Redick. He from 2004 to 2008, he played at Duke, which is one of my favorite colleges to watch. They've kind of fallen off for me a little bit lately, but back in the day, my grandpa was actually a huge Duke fan. So my dad naturally watched a lot of Duke basketball games on the TV when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he was the one who was popping off during 2004 to 2008. Like, this guy is the most incredible college shooter of all time. And he's the reason I play why I play, because I watched him and I was like, that looks like fun. This guy's launching like 40-footers left and right. Like, he's just hitting everything. Like, that looks like a blast. So I started like kind of like mirroring my game after him a little bit and working on the shot a little bit more. And I followed his NBA career, and he kind of he was a guy who was a great college player, but had to redefine himself a little bit in the NBA because he was so one-dimensional. And now he's had a really successful NBA career. He's on the Pelicans right now, but he had some great years with the Clippers and the Sixers. Like, he was averaging like 18 points per game at some points during that, which is incredible for a shooter, like just incredible. So I have a lot of respect for him, and he's kind of my hero, I guess, in that aspect. So
awesome, man.
Dude, where's Jimmer Fredette?
I actually have a Jimmer Fredette Shanghai Sharks jersey upstairs. Josh got it for me for my birthday. For my birthday? Yeah, I think for my birthday last year.
He plays in Shanghai?
He did. He does. He got drafted. Unfortunately, Jimmer Fredette was kind of a bust.
Yeah,
but
he was a big deal in NCAA and like March Madness. I'm like,
yes,
Jimmer Fredette, this guy's sick.
Huge deal. But he was kind of like he was kind of like JJ Redick in that aspect. Like, huge college player, a little one-dimensional. And when you go to the next level, and Jimmer Fredette had the disadvantage of being like 6 foot on the dot.
Yeah, and
kind of a smaller dude. JJ's a bit taller, a bit more athletic, able to get his shots off a little bit easier. And Jimmer was kind of like a point guard who wasn't really a point guard either. It's a point guard who took all the shots. So he had it kind of rough from the beginning. But similar sort of thing. I have love for Jimmer Fredette because of what he did at BYU in college. But now he's worked his way to play for the Shanghai Sharks, and I think he plays in Europe now.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, not too sure about him.
Hell yeah.
Okay, Pimpy, you can do yours.
All right. My top 5. It's gonna be very similar to Marcus's, actually. A lot of gymnasts, a lot of basketball players.
Dude, Marcus with the
Hell yeah.
two girls too.
Yeah.
Wow,
Ooh,
that's
Gotta
that's
shout out to
actually-
female
I'm gonna
athletes.
look like
that's so.
gonna look like a misogynist here.
I know.
Uh,
That's the plan, baby.
Shout out though to Michelle Hendry, and when I went to basketball camp with Michelle Hendry, she called me Scotty Too Hottie.
Nice,
Oh,
So-
Michelle.
Gave me a lot of
Damn.
confidence when I was 10.
love it.
Bro, my last ever university games, Michelle Hendry was watching me.
No,
No
It was
shit.
crazy. She was at SFU when my assistant coach was at SFU.
Yeah.
And so she found out we were playing in playoffs in Alberta in the Canada West quarterfinals. So she came and watched. And then after the game, she's saying hi to my assistant coach, and he like grabs me by like the scruff of my neck, and he's like, "You know who this is?" And I'm like, "No," because I was a kid when Michelle Hendry
Yeah.
was like. And so he's like, "You know who this is?" And she looks at me, and she takes one look at me, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And she gives me like a huge hug. She's like, "You're a Mackay!" Like you're. She can tell by my face.
Yeah,
we all
yeah.
look the fucking same. So she could immediately tell. But yeah, that's super cool, man. She was dope. Love Michelle
She's
Hendry.
your number 5.
No, she's honorable mention.
Okay.
Number
Okay,
5.
love.
This guy is from a sport that I'm not very good at, but damn it, did he make the sport popular? And he carved my childhood. A lot of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 game time. Tony Hawk.
Love it.
Without
That's a
Tony
good-
Hawk Pro Skater, I would not be good at any video games.
I respect that a lot.
Skateboarding games are the only games that I'm
huge
good
respect.
at. And Tony Hawk's also like he's fucking cool.
Oh, he's
Tony
so-
Hawk's one of the goats on Twitter. He just posts
Yeah.
things about people not knowing he was Tony Hawk. It's great.
Yeah.
Yes,
like-
I know.
Beacon
The
in
best thing
first
ever.
class, like
Yeah.
Oh, it's epic.
and not to mention a lot of skateboarders like they're fucking cool for a bit, but then they're like they wash away. Tony Hawk's just
Burnout. Yeah.
he's still
Burnout.
fucking sick.
Immortal. Completely
Yeah.
immortal.
Number 4, probably the craziest thing I've ever watched in my entire life. Alex Honnold,
Yes.
rock climber
Oh.
from Free
Oh,
Solo.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Alex Honnold I also really respect the hell out of it because he doesn't care about anything other than rock
No.
climbing and himself.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't
he-
care about himself.
He's kind of like Scotty. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
care about anyone except
know.
for what he's doing.
That's why I love
He's
it.
never volunteered in his life. There's no way he's
Oh,
ever
no.
volunteered.
Is
Alex
he like the free
Scott.
climber? Does he
Yeah,
free
the-
climb?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know
Alex-
what you're talking about.
He goes in the documentary and he's just like, everyone I know who's made free soloing a part of their life is dead. And then he gets
And
like a
I'm gonna keep
girlfriend and
doing it.
she's like in love with him and she's like, I don't want you to do this. He's like, well, I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
and I might die. And you said be okay with that.
Oh,
He's like the
man.
most lax guy about it too, hey?
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, it is what it is. It's like, dude, you're like 40 feet up on a rock face with no ropes.
Oh, like 3,000. But he,
yeah.
I also really respect his method and like the way he went about free solo. If you've watched the documentary, like he studied everything. He memorized the entire route and every single move.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. Number 3, Daniel Sedin. Daniel and Henrik are both freakazoid gingers. But I mean, they kind of define Vancouver hockey, and I'm a Canucks
They
fan,
do.
so it
Yeah.
has to be in there. Daniel is at number 3 though because he's a bit of a scumbag.
Oh,
As
really?
per the Florida announcers one time, they said some weird analogy about him licking peanut butter or something like that.
Yeah.
It was
What's wrong with
super
licking
weird.
peanut butter?
It's the
Oh,
best.
was it like off somebody? Because I mean,
No,
He
Okay.
licks it off his brother.
it was just some
Before
weird.
going
Oh.
Yeah. But obviously number 2, Henrik Sedin. He gets the bump because he was the captain of the team.
Yep. Fair enough.
Best 2 Canucks of all time, probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it could probably be
Agreed.
debated, but I mean, they did a lot for the community. They're really fun to watch. No cups, obviously, which sucks, but it is what it is. Not huge
Mhm.
personalities, though. My number
That's kind of
one-
good though. You
Yeah.
kind of like that, the quiet personalities of Daniel and Henrik City, and I always admired that.
Yeah. Then they're just really good dudes. So,
Hmm.
number 1, Terry Fox.
Well, that's such a. There's no
Yeah.
way. You
Huh?
really?
Yeah.
You think that?
Dude, I think Terry Fox was fucking epic.
I think
Yeah.
it's. I just didn't think that you'd be that like smart to put that in, but that's
It's
a
not smart. I
wonderful pick.
actually respect Terry Fox probably more than
I'm
like
jealous
ever
about that
respected
pick.
anybody. Because
That's fair. Like
Terry
that's,
Fox probably would have just lived his life with one leg.
Yeah.
But he was just like, no, I'm gonna raise awareness for this, and he basically like gave his life, and he was like, I can barely run 5K.
Yeah,
Well,
you
yeah,
ran
and I'm-
marathons every day.
Yeah, he ran a marathon every day with one leg, and me running 5K, like I get so gassed.
Oh,
Terry Fox is probably like one of the biggest influencers in Canada for sure.
Yeah, and like I
for
actually
easily.
just like I straight up like I don't get like I'm not very serious most of the time. Terry Fox is so inspiring. Like,
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that
It's,
pick.
it's a good parallel because he like volunteered literally his whole life to
yeah,
raise
Mhm.
money for cancer, and Scott is selfish like Alex Honnold. It's a really nice like
Yeah.
dichotomy.
What do you mean? Scott's dedicating his life to this podcast, man. He's
You know
doing
what?
the
You're
exact
right,
same
Marcus.
things.
You are right.
yeah.
You're right.
Thank you, Marcus.
I'll go with my
Appreciate you,
boys.
Mark.
Mackay.
My top 5 athletes, I'll just preface this by saying, you like that word preface?
No.
I do.
I'm not a huge athlete guy. I'm more of a team guy. I don't
Mhm.
I don't care if the Leafs have 5 golden retrievers on their
They
team.
did for
And
1 year. That's basically
yeah, pretty
Air
much.
Bud, baby. Air Bud.
Right? My number 5 though, Curtis Joseph. Right when I started to really get into the Leafs and like understand what was going on, he was their goalie. I'll never forget when they got scored on and he like freaked out and skated out of the net and like tripped the ref and like just lost his mind. And I just love when goalies lose it. And Curtis Joseph, absolute legend. He's one of my favorite. He's probably my favorite goalie. Number 4, Tiger Woods. This guy.
Good one. Yeah.
Do I agree with the things that he did in his personal life?
No, I thought about putting him in too.
No, I would not do it. And do I think he should have done what he did? No. But there's a lot of piece of garbage guys that go out there and do things in everyday life. The fact that he did that and got carved up, rightfully so, but
Mhm.
this guy had most people would never have a chance of ever coming back to golf and being successful, let alone
Mhm.
winning arguably the hardest tournament, the Masters, the most prestigious at least. The fact that he came back and won, I'm like, this guy is it's Jordan, it's Tiger
It is.
Woods.
He's got those genes.
It's Gretzky,
Yeah.
right?
People
So
don't usually come back from that stuff, right? Like people
No.
don't. And it took him a couple years, but that's probably what's even better is the
Yeah.
amount of time it took him to kind of like fully come back, and like the back surgeries too and everything that
Yeah.
went into that. Like that's
Totally.
it's pretty I'm watching PGA Tour events if Tiger's playing usually.
Oh, yeah.
That's for me, right?
Tiger made golf cool for a very long time.
yeah,
Yes. Agreed.
he's the Tony Hawk of golf, right? Like
Yeah.
he brought golf to a different level. Number 3, obviously Sidney Crosby. This guy, he's probably the only actual athlete that I legitimately follow and root for other than any Leaf. Yeah, just seeing that guy win so many things for Canada. Like he's won everything for Canada, literally everything.
Mhm.
World Junior, 2 Olympic golds, and even won a World Championships. This guy, all he does is win. And you talk about a guy that just does it right every day. Yeah, he's the Marcus Mackay of NHL hockey players.
Well, well,
No, it's too late.
Number two, I've never really the Leafs have never really had a stud that they've drafted themselves. Like, yes, they had Wendell Clark, who was great, but they never had a bona fide stud. And that's Austin Matthews. This guy he's already the best drafted Leaf ever, I think. Or he will be right now. Like he's going to be. And I truly believe that one day I hope he'll bring the Leafs to the promised land. So he's my number 2 athlete. And my number 1, Matt Sundin.
Canucks
Yes,
legend.
he played for the Canucks, but my favorite
forgot about
moments as a
that.
Leaf fan. Yeah, it sucks.
Matt Sundin's Canucks stint. Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
What a disaster.
It was horrible. But my favorite moments as a Leaf fan have really been with Matt Sundin as a kid. That's what made me a fan and made me love sports and love hockey. So that's my top 5. We're going to move in. We're going to go to a great segment called Veteran Move, Rookie Mistake. Or are we going to go up and do either or?
We're doing either or.
Okay, we're doing either or. But I'm going to switch this one out. Okay.
All right. You know what? Do you?
This is a quick one, though. We do a quick rapid fire, except there's one at the end that I have to ask you, and I want you to explain it.
All
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Off the hop. Cam or Josh Mackay?
Josh.
Love it. Kawhi or Vince? It's a tough one because Kawhi played one season, but one.
Vince broke my heart, Kawhi.
Love it.
Nao or KO?
I'm a Nao boy. I only spent 1 year in Nao, but I'm a Nao boy. That's the only way to go.
Love it. Jenny or Heartbreakers? I don't even think you went to Heartbreakers, have you?
Yeah,
Okay.
several times. Yes,
Oh,
several
yeah.
times. Heartbreakers opens for events, but
Yeah.
my heart lies in the Jenny and my
Oh, yeah.
soul probably.
Your soul,
I had my
yeah.
backpack in there one time, and my mom actually had to grab it. That's a fun
No.
story.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
College Heights Pub or Nancy O's?
That's a slam dunk.
Nancy O's for
Love
sure.
it. 2K or EA? Overall, though, not just NBA.
Both snakes. 2K probably then.
Yeah,
Alright.
fair enough.
Do you want to ask this one? You said you had a lot.
Well, I got to ask the last question. I don't want him to explain it.
Okay. Underhand or overhand layup?
If I'm teaching kids, overhand.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I think.
If I'm teaching some higher level high school or even university guys, I would incorporate some underhand stuff just for finesse and stuff like that. But yeah, overhand to start for sure.
Okay, last question. LeBron or MJ? I think I want to ask you, who do you think's better?
Okay, I hate. Well, I don't hate this question, but it's a hard one to answer for me because I always look at it as in forms of, who's more talented, but greatness, right?
Yeah.
If you're asking me who the best all-around basketball player is by eye test, it's LeBron James, 100%. If you're asking me who the greatest basketball player is of all time, it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But if you look at what LeBron does in the next couple years in regards to a title, I'd probably be willing to give him the pass depending on what happens. So say he wins another ring with LA this year or whenever this season resumes. I think I'd be more open to giving it to him just because of how different he is as a player. And we've never truly seen someone like him. And I feel like we won't ever again.
Yeah.
I think that's
fair.
more. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. We're moving on.
Veteran move or rookie mistake brought to you by Edward Gray. You know this one works, right?
I do, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
The first one, this for me, doing an over-the-top dunk, like just hamming it up, looking fucking sick. And you have a clear cut to the basket, but it's in a close game. Is that a veteran move or a rookie mistake?
I've done this before.
Did you fuck up?
I did. We were okay. So I have to preface this by saying it was not a close game.
Yeah.
We were up 30 on, we were up 35 on UBCO, and it was like the last. It was like the last. I think it was the fourth quarter too. I got a steal in the open court, and that was when I had just grown to 6'4". So I'm like, I'm gonna boom this thing. Like I'm booming this on somebody, and I go up, and my knee just buckles. Like I'm wide open. I just go forward. I don't go up. You just go forward. And like, I'm like, okay, I'm buckling. Finish the layup, buddy.
Yeah.
Skims off the backboard, off the rim. I fly into the back wall. I'm perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Just pride is just completely hurt. They come down. I think they miss, and then we take a timeout. My coach is kind of looking at me. He's like, I mean, we're up 35. I never tried to dunk again. Ever. So rookie mistake. And that was my sophomore year too. So rookie mistake. Yeah.
Love it. I agree.
I'm going to say veteran move because dunks are fucking sweet. And when you make dunks look even sicker than they are, it's a beautiful thing.
You never show up the other team.
At the same time, I don't play basketball, so I love seeing it. And I love even more when they fuck up and I can watch it for a week on Sportsnet.
If I was 6'8", it would have been a veteran move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You could basically fallen into the hoop and you would have dunked it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next one, selling hard after a wicked 2 points, but then making yourself a defensive, you said reliability? I think it should be liability, but so.
I feel like this is a little bit open-ended too, because it does depend on the 2 points. Like if I go up and again, if I boom on somebody, like right on top of his head, like literally he's under the hoop, ball bounces off his head, like goes forehead, goes out of bounds. Yeah, I might Selly right in his face. And I'd be willing to give up a 2 on the other end because I know that guy's done for the game. Mm-hmm. he's completely out of the rest of the game. Like he's done. Like it's over for him. But yeah, any other regular 2 points now. So
no, it's got to be a big 2.
A big 2?
Yeah.
Oh, veteran move then. Veteran move if it's a big 2. Yeah.
Love
that. Let him know. Let him know about it. Take him out of the game.
I'm saying veteran move because like it's an alpha move and like I'm an alpha dog, so I totally endorse that.
Yeah, Sam.
Hell yeah.
And some of the sellies are sick. Just beating their chest. The other team's going up the court and like scoring. They're just beating their chest in the camera.
If I could
So
switch
funny.
bodies with one person, I'd switch bodies with Giannis. Imagine me and Terrace looking like Giannis.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle, man.
Step
You'd
into
be-
the Northern. No, step into Sherwood. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah.
What honestly is up if a 7-foot
do
guy
work.
steps into Sherwood?
Yeah.
What's up?
I
then?
would
I don't
do
know.
That's
work.
what's
You probably could take over the place. Like you might just
Imagine-
walk in and
Imagine me in a band, but looking like Giannis. I would be a superstar.
No one would still care about me. No one would care about music.
Yeah,
either way,
exactly.
so.
I'd be shirtless doing magazines. But anyways, okay, next one, Pimpy.
This one comes from a friend of the show, Dallin Lamarche. Dallin asks, using your business profile pic from LinkedIn as your Tinder account picture.
I really like this question because I was on Tinder for only a week. That's the only stint I've been on Tinder.
Sure.
Hated it.
Yeah, same.
But it's a business. Tinder's a business. Tell me it's not. You're running a business if you have a Tinder account.
No, it is very true.
You're running a business. So I feel like that's just, a guy who doesn't take too many pictures. He uses the same photo for his Tinder profile.
Yeah.
He's just trying to he's trying to cut to the chase. It's for efficiency. So I'm saying veteran move, but
I like that.
I don't have experience with Tinder. So I think I might.
Neither do I.
I think it's a rookie mistake depending on the pick. Like if you got a Garrett Dobson where like it looks like the shirt is literally infused into your skin.
Yeah.
Then post that shit.
He
But
could pull it
like,
off.
if it's me where I got this ugly like pic on my LinkedIn, no guy on the Tinder.
Don't even.
When I saw that question, I thought that was something I had legitimately done. I was like, yeah, that sounds like me. Like that sounds like, because I don't take very many photos. So I'm
I don't like photos.
yeah,
either.
that was the main problem with the Tinder profile. I'm like, I have stuff that's 5 years old on here.
Yeah, I'd say rookie mistake. Like Tinder's not for flexing your business skills. It's for pretending that you're into hiking, the office, and pizza. Not that I go on it or have ever done.
Exactly.
So rookie mistake for me.
I'll do the last one. This is from Elena Fontes. I think that's how you say her last name. Very interesting question that she asked. Veteran move, rookie mistake, going to UNBC.
Wow. I think I'd be shot if I didn't say veteran move.
Yeah,
so
you have to.
I'm gonna say veteran move. I love my time at UNBC. I think like any school, there are certain things that are annoying, obviously, but I wouldn't want to go to school at UBC or UVic where parking's like, $20 and a bunch of other stuff. I'm not really a big city guy either. So veteran move for me, veteran move going to UNBC.
Love it.
I'd say like if you're going to be an athlete, like you just go wherever you can get in probably. I wouldn't know, not an athlete really. But I had a really good time at UNBC. I'm going to say rookie mistake though.
Okay.
Always do the more cultured option. Do an exchange in an
That's
obscure
true.
country like Romania, Slovenia.
That's a really fair point.
Yeah.
Dude, you do an exchange or go after university and go to like live in Australia and be a temp. And the world is your oyster after that. You might even live in
the world is your clam.
You might even live in someone's basement on Graham Avenue after it. I think it's a veteran move just because it's a small university. You're close to home if you're from Terrace. I had a great time there. There's things that I regret, of course, but it's a learning experience, man.
Like anything.
Exactly.
I feel the same. There are definitely regrets to it, but like as a whole, it's like there's not a reality where you weren't playing basketball. So for you, this was probably the best reality. For me, is the way I see it. So, but if I wasn't, I totally agree with Scott. Like I probably would have been like taking a semester off at some point, or doing a semester abroad and doing something, cultured.
Exactly.
I didn't. Don't worry, I'm not flexing or anything. I was NWCC 1 year, 3 years UNBC. Let's
2
go.
years
That's culture. That's as culture as it gets, baby. You're seeing different sides of the world doing that.
Oh hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Let's get into some just some regular questions here. The first one comes from Soul J. Don't know who that is.
Solomon or
Solomon. Saul Johnson.
Saul Johnson.
These two guys.
He's a homie.
These two guys, they're brothers, Gabe and Saul. I've never actually talked to them. I know their parents.
You work with Mike, don't you? Or you did?
I used to, yeah. Mike was my boss, but
yeah,
dude, they seem like beauties, and like I kind of want to like talk to them for once, but I'm too scared.
They're
so.
great, man. You would get along with them. They're all
I'll just
about
Facebook their
Twitter.
mom and see if they'll text me or something.
Yeah.
Super weird.
There you go.
He asks, who is your favorite coach, Marcus, to play under, and why is it Cam?
I would say he's not wrong, but I think for the same reason I mentioned before, I think there was understanding, and he talks about this with me and Josh a lot. I'm pointing to him because he's right over there. But
is he listening this whole time?
No, but I think he might be now.
No pressure.
Yeah, I think we both knew what Caledonia basketball was about before we got there. So totally. I think the teaching for him was a little bit easier in that aspect, is kind of what he's explained to me. But again, I didn't expect as much to be able to be myself as a player as I actually was during high school. He did let me do what I wanted to do. He let me kind of carve my own path. And so like I'll always hold that special to me, because I didn't feel like I don't believe I've had a bad coach. I've had really good coaches, but I think when it comes to that, I think he let me be myself and let me figure things out and play within myself more than other coaches had. And that's, I mean, part of that's just understanding somebody, because I mean, he's my dad, so he does know me pretty well. Right. So I think that part of it is what's special to me. And that's definitely why I hold him in such high regard.
Cam's probably crying in the corner over there after that.
No, don't do that.
No, he's definitely crying.
Darren Rigo, this is a good question.
Oh, just speaking of Darren Rigo, D. Rigo from D. Rigo Photography, aka Darren Rigo, just released a book of pictures or photos. It's actually beautiful. Check out his website if you want to pre-order a copy.
Darren's another UNBC homie. I love that dude.
This is a cool question, Darren Rigo. Put together your top men's UNBC ball alumni lineup.
This is tough. It's really tough. What I kind of quantified it as is guys who played full 5 years, and I think and guys I mostly played with.
Yeah.
But there's also this kind of like aura of PG legend status that goes with it too. So I'm gonna list off these guys. Billy Chang at point guard.
100%. Big Billy
PG, like he's got the PG legend status first of all, but I don't think I've ever played with a guy who understood what to do off a pick and roll in a 5-on-5 setting more than Billy Chang. But yeah, you speak to anyone knows Billy Chang in Prince George, UNBC legend.
Billy Chang, bottle service with Billy Chang in Hong Kong.
Bottle service with Billy Chang, baby. Inderbeer Gill would be my 2 guard. He's the UNBC GOAT. I'm sure if you went to UNBC, you kind of like, you heard someone say Inderbeer Gill at some point. Yeah. He's the college GOAT. He's still playing. He plays professional in India. He plays in like the FIBA 3-on-3 league. He's incredible. He's a very good player. With like, it would be super disrespectful if I didn't put him in. Honestly, he's incredible. I didn't play with him, but I wish I did. I already was just a consummate leader and an incredible dude. 3rd is Sam Raphael. Again, another 5-year guy. He's special to me because he came up to a camp in Terrace when I was in grade 12. And he basically kind of had coached most of it. And I really got to know him, and he kind of was giving me like little pointers because he saw that I was curious about the next level and also kind of working towards something. And he was like, hey man, like, here's something you should work on. Or he was really in tune with me. And then like months later, I see him at the IB camp, and he was so happy that I had made it there. And he's like, dude, like, you're here. This is it. Like, this is what we've been working for. Right. So I always hold Sam Raphael special to me. And he's, again, a Prince George legend, played at Dutchess Park as well. People love him in Prince George. And then my next 2 are the Stark brothers, Dan and Dennis Stark, like complete PG legends, complete wagons. Like, enjoy playing with them more than probably anybody else on planet Earth. They are the funnest dudes to play with on the court, and they're great guys off the court. They've done so much for me. I have much love for those guys. So that's my 5.
If you hang out in Rosswood long enough, eventually you will see Dan Stark out in Rosswood.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I think, I mean, That makes sense. He kind of looks like a bushman, right? So he'd be out there.
It's probably the guy killing people out
No,
there.
No. That's not him.
Dan's the younger one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I actually did see Dan in Rosswood last year.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because he was filming something for they were filming like a motorcycle tour.
Yeah,
sort of
him
thing.
and Jason Hamburg from Six Sigma.
Yeah, Six Sigma. Shout out Six Sigma, man. They make some great shit.
I was pulling up into like Maroon to go up the mountain. I see a van there and a bunch of guys standing around, and it was Jason and Dan.
That's sweet.
Hell yeah, I love that. Yeah, and then Dennis, looks like Clark Kent. So
he is a handsome guy. The only thing Darren Rigo loves more than Prince George though is Dennis Stark.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so though. Like, there's no better guy to be recruiting for UNBC than Dennis Stark. Are you kidding me? I take one look at that guy and I'm in high school. I'm like, I want to go there. This guy, Clark Kent's telling me to go to UNBC. I'm going.
If Dennis Stark keeps recruiting, they're gonna have a ratio like UVic had back in the day.
Yeah.
Where it's just all women.
Girls be looking for Dennis on campus all times during the day.
Yeah.
Holy.
Even I know who that guy is, and I didn't get recruited.
All right. This next one comes from Stephen Cooner, also played under Cam.
Hell yeah, Steve.
He says in perfect grammar, great English, who can choose, Josh or Marcus, with last shot of the game?
I don't think Josh would take it. I don't think he'd want to take it. Yeah.
Even with a beard?
No, Beard Josh would take it. Yeah. Beard Josh would not. Beard Josh isn't giving me the ball. Like, he's not giving me the
Josh would for sure take it.
Bearded Josh 100% stakes the last shot.
Yeah.
If you're talking about me and him in grade 12.
Oh,
he'd give me the ball. Like, he'd call a set for me to shoot it probably.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
As far as who's more likely to make it, again, grade 12, probably Josh.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Guy was an absolute wagon at shooting.
I'd personally get him running off a set, but I know if he was running the point in grade 12, he would get me. He would get me a look. So
that makes sense.
I'd pick Josh, but I think he might pick me for different reasons. So.
Damn. All right. That's all we got for questions. We do have a hypothetical scenario for you. It's a little long, but I'll just read it out here.
Not lay it on me.
Should we mention the whoas before so he understands? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. And you need to tell me about that.
Okay, when Josh, we didn't play basketball a lot growing up.
We play hockey.
We play
basketball.
hockey, anything like floorball. He goes in defense and he always has one hand up. He goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
He's always he's kind of like herding cattle when he's on D. Like he's making sure everything. Yeah. Whoa, per 60.
I've never seen that in any other sport he's played. That's interesting.
You're coming down the wing in ball hockey and Josh just puts the one arm out.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that.
Hypothetical scenario for you, Marcus. It's another heated mini ball match in Terrace. Literal wagon Marcus Mackay's faced off against literal wagon Joshua James Mackay. In the third quarter, you sprain your dominant hand, but with each team being filled with pigeons, you can't take yourself out of the game. The team needs you. The game is now in the fourth quarter with the clock winding down to 0. Your team is down by 2 points with possession. The lineup on the floor is Marcus, Scott, Kyle, and 2 people who aren't noteworthy. As you bring the ball up the floor, both of your wrists shatter for some reason. You can't take the final shot. Josh Mackay morphs into 2 Josh Mackays and does his patented whoa defensive coverage on your 2 non-noteworthy teammates, putting them both into a violent seizure. Both Scott and Kyle are open for a 3-pointer. Who do you pass the ball to?
Well, I think in common sense sort of terms, I did watch Scott play mini ball. I watched him play youth ball. I saw Scott play youth ball. Scott played junior basketball as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I played grade 10 for I played grade 10 for 2 months and I hated it, so I quit. Okay. If you don't like something, just quit.
So we're trying to get across on this podcast. Sorry, Kyle. I'd have to go with Scott because I have seen him shoot a basketball before. A long time ago, but I have seen him shoot a basketball before, and I'll be honest, it looked pretty nice. It looked like a pretty good release. It was a nice looking shot. I think Scott would be reliable hitting a corner 3 for the win. I think that would be something we could do.
I wouldn't be, but I was nasty in grade 7. Layups left and right.
I heard, man, the talk of the town. It says Scott, grade 7, Scott Simpson. No one better. No one's
I'd probably pick you too.
Best Catholic school player in all of Terrace.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
At the time.
Shout out BTAS.
I did hit a sick it wasn't a 3, but I hit like a nice bucket. I guess we'll call it or hit a field goal.
There you go, Kyle. He's learning. He's learning
at Veritas and winked at a couple girls. It felt good. So, anyways, Marcus, this has been really fun, man.
That was awesome.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. This is a blast. I knew it would be fun just kind of knowing you guys by association through Josh and them telling me about your antics and everything he loves about you too. So I was excited to do this. I really appreciate you having me on. I never pictured myself on a podcast. So,
oh man, I know humble beginnings playing UNBC basketball, but now you've really risen to the ranks.
I've made it. I'll never do anything better, to be honest with you. So
municipal podcast.
It's cool. Like I think the one thing too is like a lot of people in Terrace have like cool stories, but we live in Terrace and other than, shooting the shit with your friends at the bar or something or whatever, you're not going to get a chance to like actually tell your story.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree.
It's cool to get guys like you on because you've had a pretty sick run and now you're doing cool stuff with your blog and stuff. It's awesome, man. So thanks a lot for coming on, and maybe we'll get you on again when the Raptors go all the way and beat Kawhi in the finals.
Oh, I'd love to. I'll give you a full analysis if that happens.
Clippers
Raptors
dad
final
on too, though.
So, me and Cam will take it on.
and Josh's beard, not him. Just the lower half
of his face.
Right in the top frame of the camera. Yeah. We can make that work.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if he's planning on cutting it soon.
I hope he doesn't.
No, he'll never.
I hope he doesn't either. I think he needs to ride it out until at least September.
Yeah.
Give it a summer.
What a beauty.
Get all gross in there. So.
Well, Marcus, we thank you for coming on, buddy, and we'll do it again soon, man.
Hell yeah. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
All right.